everybody. Welcome to another episode of Erica Schmerica's Reality Recap. Today we're going to be talking about 90 Day Fiancé, Season 9, Episode 3. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to like and then subscribe to the new YouTube channel and go ahead and hit notification bell to get notified about all new videos I will be posting. Shall we get started? Let's just do it. Episode 3 started out with Bilal and Shida, still getting used to these names, Bilal and Shida, back at the fake house, the one that was kind of run down and like all ramshackled that he was pretending was his real house to test Shida's true intentions. So Shida seemed to have simmered down from the night before where she was all pissed off about coming to America and living in a shack. So she was, trying to make coffee. I don't even know how she was making coffee because there was like seaweed growing out of where a faucet should have been in this kitchen. But she was trying and she was making the bed. And here comes Bilal in a black t-shirt that says, "Be grateful," kind of like trying to throw some like little subtle messages at her. And he says to her like, "Yo, today we're going to have lunch with my mother. We're going to go meet my mother for lunch. And, I'm really happy about you like changing your attitude this morning." And she apologized for the way that she reacted to seeing the house, but she, couldn't help herself. She was in shock. She had no idea how he was living and what she was kind of getting herself into. So anyway, he's like, "Oh, well, I have to be right back. I'm going to go do some work." And he left in the panel van. Like, who is he going to murder? What are you doing in a white panel van in the middle of the day? You're leaving. Like, what are you doing? So anyway, he leaves to go do some murder. And she was left home alone, so she calls her mom on video chat back in Trinidad and or Tobago, and she is showing her around the house. And her mother Shy, was hysterically laughing at the cracks in the ceilings and the holes in the walls. She was like, "Oh, Mr. Louis Vuitton shoes, look at his house." Meanwhile, Shy didn't think it was so funny, but her mother did emphasize that money is not everything and material possessions are not everything. So Shy was trying to like put her best face forward. So Bilal later on comes back in his white panel van that he hopefully cleared of all DNA evidence. And he loads Shy into the van and they're going to meet his mother for lunch. But really he took her to his real house so she could see the real house. So right away, as soon as they approach like this nice, new looking suburban neighborhood, she starts getting really excited. And then they pull in the driveway. She's like, "This house is nice." And then they walk in. And she is just wowed. And then he confesses, "This is your actual house you will be living in." And she coined it an oasis of sophistication. I like that. Maybe she could write copy. Anyway, so she's super excited about her oasis. And she gets the whole house tour. She's loving his like white and gray monochromatic color scheme in the house. His OCD little touches all over. And then he takes her downstairs where he made her own yoga studio. That was very sweet. So once she saw the yoga studio, first she was thinking, "I'm not really crazy about Kansas City." And then she saw that yoga studio and she's like, "I'm going to stay in this house." So it looks like things may be turning around for Bilal and Shida. I think they're going to be getting along from here on out. Next up were Eve and Muhammad 2.0. So there's really only one Muhammad for me. It's really hard for me to cheat on Muhammad, like Danielle's Muhammad with the new Muhammad, but I'm trying to work through it. Anyway, Eve sets out to go to the airport to pick up Muhammad, who is flying in from Egypt. She's so excited. She's wearing this beautiful green dress with a plunging neckline, but she had to censor it for Muhammad because, he's very religious. So she wore like a black bandeau that kind of looked like a black censor bar, like on, a TV show. Anyway, so she shows up, they see each other, they're hugging, they're kissing, and then Muhammad spoke. And he had the creepiest little voice. He's just like, "I can't believe I'm really here. This is so exciting." Like, what is this guy? Are we going to have to listen to him talk all season? Because I don't know how this is going to go. Anyway, he seems shell-shocked. They go out into the car. She's driving towards her house, and he's just staring out the window like, "Wow, look at all the things." And then they head to her house. He's checking everything out. He really likes her house. It's nice and big. He said he'd never been in a house that big. And he was really pretty happy with all the gifts that she'd gotten him, including a ring with a crown for her king that they're going to be using for their wedding ceremony. And the only thing that didn't go over so well was that Eve forgot to get him a bidet. She forgot. She just plumb forgot. So, much like Jihoon, he likes to keep his whole family's anal clean because he prays 5 times a day. And, now he's going on God's naughty list because his boo hole is going to be dirty. So hopefully Muhammad gets that bidet sooner or later, or maybe they have a detachable shower head or something comparable. But now all I'm doing when I look at him is thinking about his butt. Jabrie and Miona didn't really have too much action this week. They left off with the airport scene, the airport pickup from last week. So Jabrie got out to the pickup truck, put Miona right on the bed of the truck, and presented her with many gifts of Western wear. I would like that. I like cowboy gear. So she got pink cowboy boots, a really cool hat, and then, he was preparing her for a little South Dakota fun. So they headed home towards his parents' house, where they're going to be having dinner for the first time with his parents. And as they drove and were looking into the endless prairies of nothingness, Miona's already like, get me out of here. Can't wait to get to LA. I need to be the lost Kardashian. But Jabrie was like, we're going to stay here for a little while. We have to save money. It's a great place to be. And Miona's just like, yeah, how about no? So they get back to the house where she finally meets Jabrie's family, and they actually very warmly embraced her. They were hugging her. They were actually shocked how much they liked her at first. And they all sat down for a lasagna dinner, my fave. And things seemed to be going kind of well until Mother Jabrie got a little nosy and she started asking her 101 questions. Like, hey, Miona, what are your plans for the future? Hey, Miona, what's your favorite color? Hey, Miona, what do you think you're going to be when you grow up? Hey, Miona, what do you think you're going to do tomorrow? Hey, Miona, what do you... It's like, okay, lady, this girl just got off a flight from Serbia. She's missing all of her pigmentation that she left. They probably even had to throw it out at security, God forbid. Who knows what happened, okay? She's got no makeup on. Her lips are 4 sizes smaller than they normally are. Why are you asking her these questions? Let her relax. Let her settle in and then dive in. So it was a rough dinner. Jabrie was obviously uncomfortable. And right after the dinner was over, he already knew that this is going to have to be a short-lived living situation. They're going to have to move out ASAP because this isn't going to go well. Then returning from the other way were Ariella and Biniam. And the only reason anybody was looking forward to seeing them again was because they kept showing the preview of Ari getting wine thrown in her face. So luckily they just got that out of the way on their first episode back. So Ariella and Biniam apparently filed for the K1 visa after, they had all their troubles in the past where she moved to the US for a little while. He was in Ethiopia. She heard that he was having wild parties. And then she went back to Kenya and they met face to face with that translator who just sat there and didn't really translate anything. And decided that if they're going to make their family work, they're going to stay in Kenya and not go back to Ethiopia. Meanwhile, they filed for the K1 visa. They got approved. And then they flew back to Ethiopia to tell his friends and family that they were officially leaving. So first Biniam told his friends, and his friends were kind of like, why are you leaving? You don't even like this girl. You guys have such a terrible relationship. I guess they watched the show, or they just are living and breathing and paying attention. I don't know. These two are always fighting. And then, he was like, well, I want to follow my son. I want to be near my son. So he said, doesn't matter. It sounded like Ari was kind of an afterthought, but he wanted to be a good dad. So he decided he's going to go to the US. He wants to see how the backflips are over in the US. So then the big hard sell was going to be to his sisters, Wish and Mimi. He decided a great time to tell them would be after his video release party of his hit single, Dancy Cool. So at the release party, Biniam's sitting there with all his muscles and he's wearing this retired Chippendales dancer outfit that looks like he hulked right out of it. And everybody's clapping and they're all happy to see the new video. And Ariel is dancing on him and it was super awkward. But then they sit down to pop some champagne. And as they're sitting there, he tells his sister, I'm actually moving to the US to be with Ari and the baby. So the sisters think this is ridiculous. They know that Ariel is manipulative and, two-faced, or 3 or 4-faced, because what is going on with her face? She looks like a completely different person. So anyway, they have some choice words between Ari and the sisters that result in, I think it was Wish, throwing the glass of wine in Ari's face, and she just looked like a modern day, more sophisticated Carrie, covered all over her face with Manischewitz. Anyway, Poor Ariella, like now she had to like wipe the wine out of her face, and she didn't even have a bidet. As for this episode, we're Kobe and Emily. So Emily had just picked Kobe up last week from the airport, and they were driving home towards Salina, and Kobe was so excited because this is the first day that he was going to get to meet his son, 18-month-old baby, COVID-19. So he was super excited, but then Emily had to kind of like crush his dreams by saying, well, I was thinking we could have a little bit of, mommy daddy time, a little alone time, for sexy time. And she like held up some pink lacy underwear that he may or may not have modeled in the past, being an underwear model. So, Kobe was kind of like hesitant. He thought it was a little selfish, but he understood where she was coming from. They hadn't seen each other in 2 years. And, once they get back, it's all going to be about baby COVID-19. So he agreed to have one night away to have a little date night. So they head out to one of Emily's favorite hot spots in Salina. And they're having dinner, and he's like looking around, and he realizes that he's the only Black underwear model from China in Salina, and he's like feeling kind of weird, maybe a little isolated. So Emily tried to reassure him, it's fine, you'll meet other Black underwear models from China, it's cool. And then as they start eating, she's like, I'm really worried about our wedding, but also parenting, but also what are we going to do for money? Also, how much money did you bring? It's like she took a memo from Jabrie's mother. Like, too much, too soon. Kobe tried to get her to bring it down a couple levels. You're here, Emily. I need you to be here. So I guess next week they're probably going to do a little TMI and show us their sexy time evening. They love to do that. And thanks so much for joining me this week for another episode of Erica Schmarker's Reality Recaps. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get notified about all new videos I'll be posting. See you again next week. Bye.